Welcome back. Today we're going to be answering a question from the comments. And the question is, what was the accessibility of the place that Michael and I lived in the beginning? And if you have a place, what are little things that you can do to make your place more accessible for people with disabilities to come over?
Amanda and I have lived in 3 different places, and we're just going to go through them one by one and talk about the accessibility changes that we made.
As usual with accessibility, there's some very interesting things we can talk about that have happened to us. If you watched our video about our love story, you know that Michael and I moved in together after a month, and we moved into his 1-bedroom condo. It was kind of a nightmare.
It is, I would say, just about as far from accessible, like that whole complex, as far from accessible as you could be.
To start this off, his condo had a step into it. So, logical upgrade for wheelchair accessibility would be add a ramp. Michael, tell them what happened with that.
My dad and I looked up what the standards were for like ADA ramps and how to make sure that it wouldn't be a tripping hazard and this and that.
Because it was on a sidewalk where other people walked by. So we were being very careful to create a ramp that was not a tripping hazard.
My dad and I created like a platform/ramp that extended to the end of the sidewalk so that no matter how you were walking on it, no one could trip on it.
Basically, because that was hard for me to understand. So if you were coming out of the door, it would go downward. But if you're going to the right of the door, it also goes down and down. So it's like down all the ways, like a nice gradual thing. So you couldn't really trip on it because it's a ramp either way. You're never gonna like walk into the side of the ramp.
And the step coming into our place, there was nothing she could do to get in without that little ramp. Like what we had to do in the beginning was me take her out of her chair and then bring her chair and then put her back into her chair once she was inside.
Which would not be accessible for people with power chairs. Thankfully, I was in a manual chair at that time. So what happened after we put the ramp in?
Well, before we put the ramp in, we actually went through the association and I submitted this whole form and everything so that we could try to put in a concrete ramp because we thought that they would like that better than having a wooden ramp out front of my unit.
No reply, nothing.
Literally crickets. We followed up, nothing.
After the association was not responding to our request to put in a ramp, we decided to put that wooden ramp in.
And then we started getting letters from them about how we needed to remove our unapproved structure from in front of my unit, which is so clearly an accessibility thing.
They just did not want us to have a ramp, and it wasn't one letter. We continued to get letters, and they not only were just saying remove it, they were threatening to fine us for a ramp that we had so I could get in the door.
Like responsible adults, we completely ignored these letters and left that ramp there for the entire time we were there. And all the while we were hoping they would do something to take that ramp while we were there because we were going to go straight to the news and cause a fiesta.
It was honestly ridiculous that they wouldn't approve the ramp and that they weren't responding to us. Like they were purposefully ghosting us about the ramp, but then sending letters about it. So we just ignored the letters because we decided that they were wrong, and I still stand by that decision. Another thing about that complex is they do not have even one wheelchair accessible parking spot.
It's a very old condo complex, and I assume that they're grandfathered into not having to follow the American with Disabilities Act. So there's not a single spot that she could park her wheelchair van at the time.
That was really annoying, and they definitely are an older complex, so they were grandfathered in and didn't have to make the accommodations, and nor did they care to make reasonable accommodations. So what we did is we went to a neighbor and asked this nice lady if we could switch parking spots with her because her parking spot went up to the grass. And it did get really muddy in that grass area, but my ramp could come out of my van so I could get out of my car. It was a win. Michael and his dad fixed the muddy situation.
There's a pattern of us just completely not caring about that association. We bought a bunch of pavers from Home Depot and we just took out all the mud and put pavers back, which to me, that's an improvement because it was just mud before.
Even if you're a walking person and you're parking there, you want to get out of your car into the mud, it was an upgrade for their complex that, again, they did not want to give me. So we just asserted dominance. Something that we did inside of our condo is we replaced the bathroom door frame because in older buildings, a lot of them have small door frames that don't fit my wheelchair through. That's the only thing that we did inside of that because 3 or 4 months later, we decided to upgrade to a 3-bedroom. Yes, in the same complex. I question our sanity with that because, like, why were we moving in the same complex when we had all these issues?
Because it's a cheap complex and we could afford it.
Yeah, we were doing what we could. It was a much better unit. It was on the water. It was 3 bedrooms. We had some space. So it was better, but there were a couple things that we had to change. Start with the experience going up to the second condo. There was a parking spot with a garage, and this is kind of hard to explain. This is our car, and this is the spot that we get to park in front of our garage. But there were 3 spots, like a person could walk through here, but not like a car or anything. And it was tight. There's 3 spots here, and then our car here. These 3 people were not going to be able to use these spots. One was ours, and the other 2 were other neighbors. We had to like pull really far forward so that we could have my van park there and be able to get the ramp out into our other spot. But it worked. So that was not the best situation, but it worked. So that's all we cared about.
And I parked in visitor parking like that whole time, right?
Yeah, because we didn't have a second spot because of the way my van needed to park. So Michael had to park in visitor parking, which was kind of far away, and walk all the way back to our condo. So that was the worst part of it for sure.
And wouldn't you know that the entrance to our second condo also had a step to get in. But this time we didn't even take a moment to ask anything about the condo association, and we just put in a concrete ramp then and there.
Yeah, and we never heard a thing about it, so it worked for us, and I'm glad we did it because they probably would have said no if we asked. After you walk into the condo, we again had to replace both bathroom door frames, which is not as big of a deal as people think it is. It's not like some huge project. It really only takes like 2 days to do.
I mean, I would say you have to be a little bit handy because you have to rip out the whole door frame, but
like hiring someone probably wouldn't be that expensive. If there was a place that you wanted to live and that was your only inaccessibility thing, I feel like it could be worth exploring that. Or if you're at an apartment, ask for a reasonable accommodation because they could theoretically widen that door frame.
I believe that for apartment complexes and rentals and things like that, it's part of the Americans with Disability Act that they have to provide reasonable accommodations.
If they're not grandfathered into the old policy. We widened the door frames and we knocked out the entire master bathroom. Michael can talk about that project.
That was quite the project. That was the first time that I have ever moved a toilet, which is insane. You have to cut through the concrete slab so that you can access the plumbing for the actual toilet. And we moved it because there was no other way that you were going to be able to fit in there and use the restroom. We took up a whole closet as well. It was a great improvement. We made it a very big master bath and we redid the whole shower. And my dad actually built out of the deck boards that are like made of plastic. He made a really nice shower chair for Amanda that I still think was the greatest thing ever.
It was like a park bench, but made out of that nice PVC plastic. It was my favorite shower chair that I've had. And also the shower that we did had 2 shower heads and it was a walk-in shower. So huge, huge improvement for us there. And that made the inside of our condo pretty accessible. The only other thing that we did was take off all of the closet doors because that was a big barrier for me. So we just took off all of the pantry and closet doors and we put like curtains. So if people were coming over and we wanted to cover it, we could. And
oh, we also filled in the porch with pavers to raise it up a couple inches so that she could get out onto the porch because our girl loves going outside.
I like being outside a lot. So that was a big upgrade for me from our old place where I couldn't go anywhere and see the sun. And it was an interior unit. And now we're on the water and I could get out on my porch. So that was a dream. And then they built a lounger for me to lay on out there and a raised planter that I could garden in, which we actually still have right on our porch right there today.
Is that the same one?
It is.
Wow, I don't know why in my head that was a different one. That's such a memorable item.
Yeah, and it's actually wild that it's held up for all these years.
I built that myself with these two hands.
You built a lot of things with your two hands, which brings us to our current house. We decided after a few years of living in the condo and having two big doodles that it was time to upgrade to a place with a yard and a little more space because we were both working at home post-COVID. That's when we bought our house, which is 4 bedrooms and had a yard. We have done a lot of home improvement on this house in the last few years that we've lived here. I think we should do a house tour and talk about all of the different things that we've done in this home, but we could leave it with we've done a lot to the point where I'm very comfortable living here, and we have a couple projects that are currently being worked on and that we are going to be doing eventually, but there's so much to show you with accessibility in this house.
The second part of that question was, if you have friends or family with disabilities, what are some little things that you can do to make your home a little bit more accessible?
And that is such a kind question because not everybody puts that into consideration. Something that Michael's parents did as soon as I met him was build ramps from their inside to their pool deck and from their garage into their house so that I could get in comfortably, which was so kind of them. And it's not something that I've ever had before of somebody going out of their way to do something like that. They built these ramps out of wood, but there's portable ramps that you can buy on Amazon that are honestly not that expensive. So if you have a little step, you know that you can keep this portable ramp folded up in your house. And if you have your friend coming over, that you can just take it out so your friend can get in your house. So that's one thing. If your friend's staying with you, a shower chair, you can buy them at CVS, you can buy them at Home Depot, you can buy them on Amazon. They're a great accessibility upgrade, and you definitely want your friends to be able to shower at your house because I've had a lot of places where I couldn't go and shower and it's just not that comfortable.
We always make it work, but there's just something frustrating about when we're at a hotel or something and Amanda has to take a shower sitting on the floor on a towel.
And if you're a girl and you have hair and you have to wash it and then you're dealing with the low water pressure sitting on the floor, like trying to rinse your hair, if you ever want to know what it's like, just try it out and let me know how it is, it's fine. It really is fine, but it would make your friends more comfortable. Something else that people have done for me is move cups and plates and things that you commonly use down low so that I don't have to ask for absolutely everything that I need.
And if you have like a lot of furniture that makes things kind of tight, if you're able to move things around so that a wheelchair can pass through, that's awesome.
I'm talking about wheelchair accessibility and things that work for me and my abilities, but each person really has their own accommodations that they need.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution to accessibility, but the best thing you can do is literally to just ask the person who you're thinking about, because I guarantee you that's going to mean the world to them.
Yeah, it definitely would. I agree. I hope this answered your question, and if anybody else has any questions that they would like us to do a video on, please leave them in the comments. We are over the moon excited at the growth of our channel in the last week. Just know that we've been like so happy about building a community here on YouTube, and you all have been so nice and so supportive, and it's felt really good.
Yeah, it's been so fun looking through all the comments, and we just talk about them like all day.
Yeah, and we had like a watch hour goal that we wanted to get, and you guys blew that out of the water. It honestly shocked us, and now we're like, oh, we have to come up with another goal for ourselves because we expected to work for a lot longer on that. All that to say, thank you guys genuinely so much for being here and interacting with us and giving us this platform, because it's really nice to advocate and to build the community. And we have some really exciting things to continue building community that are coming up. So stay tuned on that. So don't forget to, leave us a comment, subscribe, like our stuff. We appreciate it.